Halo, saya Jati Dharma bersama Anda. Saat ini sudah bersama saya di studio Liputan 6 SCTV adalah Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix, Under Secretary General for Peace Operation United Nations. Is it right?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Because it's hard, to spelling France's name.
Oh, you're doing well.
I'm doing well. Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, welcome to Indonesia.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lacroix. During your visit, who have you met and what is your key message?
Yes, I met with a senior official from Indonesia, of course, the Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs, the senior officials from the Indonesian police and the armed forces. And I met also with the peacekeepers, the brave men and women from Indonesia who are about to deploy in peacekeeping. So the message really is to thank Indonesia for the very strong support to UN peacekeeping and to highlight the very positive role that the men and women from Indonesia are playing in support of peace, protecting people, protecting, preserving ceasefires. So this is really what it is about, to emphasize the importance of that role of Indonesia in peacekeeping.
Okay. We know since 1957, Indonesia has sent its peacekeeping troops in collaboration with the UN to world peace. How do you see that contribution and how far have Indonesian troops had an impact?
Okay, well, maybe I could give you a few examples. Like in the Democratic Republic of Congo, an important African country which has a situation of conflict in the east, and the Indonesian peacekeepers are protecting civilians from the violence that is that comes from the armed groups. So they're protecting thousands of people every day. In the Central African Republic, which is another country where we have a peacekeeping operation, we have Indonesian peacekeepers who are building roads, who are making a difference for the people. In Lebanon, they are currently undergoing a difficult situation because there are hostilities between Lebanon and Israel. But those peacekeepers are playing a critical role because they are the only channel between those two parties that are in conflict. And the role is to mitigate the impact of violence, also helping the population that is affected. So just to emphasize how critical the role of these peacekeepers are, every single day, they make such a difference.
Oh, okay, that's a huge collaboration with the UN. Yeah, there is one issue that is a concern in Indonesia related to the statement of the commander of the Indonesian National Armed Forces, Mr. Agus Subianto, who said that civilians and community organizations can go to Gaza. We talk about the Gaza conflict in Palestine for peace mission. You have a lot of experience in DPO and also in political diplomatic experience. What is your comment?
Well, what I would say is that for any peacekeeping operation to be deployed, there are conditions and they apply everywhere. The number one condition is that there has to be an agreement between the parties.
Okay.
Because it's peacekeeping, so peacekeeping has to be based on an agreement. The parties have to accept that there should be a deployment of peacekeepers. So that's number one. Then the second condition, which is critically important, is that any decision to deploy a peacekeeping operation is made by the UN Security Council. So it's not me, it's not the UN Secretary General who decide to send peacekeepers, it's the member states in this very important body of the United Nations, which is the UN Security Council. I think that there is a third very important element. The peacekeepers need to be accepted by the local communities. They need to be accepted by the population. They need to be seen as agents of peace, not as some sort of occupier.
Okay.
And this is why the peacekeepers are doing their best to build trust with the communities, and the Indonesian peacekeepers are very good at that. They have managed to establish very good relation of trust with the communities in which, among which they are deployed.
So, so in civilians, is it can be the peacekeeper troops?
In peacekeeping operations, we have civilians, we have military, we have police. They work together, and of course they also work with other actors, particularly the humanitarian agency, because it's very much about supporting people, population that are affected by war. So we work a lot with the NGOs and humanitarian agencies to support them.
So not only for military, for peacekeeper.
Not only, of course, the role of the military is very important, and it also depends on the mandate sometimes, because the Security Council decides, is the one entity that makes decision to send peacekeeping operation, but they also decide on what mandate. Sometimes it's only about monitoring the respect of a ceasefire, like in Cyprus, for example, where we have a few Indonesian peacekeepers. In other cases, like I mentioned the Democratic Republic of the Congo, it's a much broader mandate where we are asked to provide security, but also support communities, supporting the delivery of humanitarian assistance, and many other mandated tasks.
Okay, still talking about the situation in Gaza, Palestine. Last month, the UN said it was ready to deploy police troops to Gaza. What is the development regarding to the plan, and what is work seem like if it's happened?
Well, first of all, I think I have to emphasize the conditions that I mentioned to you, which are critical. The agreement between the parties, decision by the UN Security Council. I think right now the priority in Gaza is cessation of hostilities. This is really the priority because people are suffering, and that has to stop. And this is what our UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, has been repeating all along. There has to be cessation of hostilities. Then what will happen next, we will see. But first needs to come, there needs to be this cessation of hostility.
Okay. Currently, which is the main focus of Department of Peace operation regarding peace in the world? We know that so far DPO has worked a lot in Africa, just like you said, the Congo, one of them. Are there other main focuses?
Sure. I mean, we have peacekeeping operation in Africa, and some of the biggest are in Africa. We also have operation in the Middle East, southern Lebanon, where Indonesia has a very important contingent of peacekeepers. It's the largest contingent in the operation in Lebanon. And also we have an operation in Cyprus and Kosovo. So we are in many continents. Now, in terms of the focus, I think the key focus is that we need to adapt to the new challenges. And we cannot do it alone. We have to do it with our biggest partners, such as Indonesia. How to better respond to the challenges to peace today. The role of armed groups, the role of the negative impact of digital technology, misinformation and disinformation, the impact of climate change, all of this. We have to be prepared for the future and be able to respond in peacekeeping to all these challenges.
Okay. I want to talk about the situation in Gaza. What is the biggest effort that have to do to establish the peacekeeping in Gaza, Palestine?
Well, then again, first there has to be a cessation of hostility, and there are political efforts that are ongoing, and of course the UN is supportive of these political efforts because the priority is to stop these hostilities. And of course, the other priority is to make sure that there will be more assistance to the population in Gaza. And you know that the UN is really trying its best. I mean, our colleagues for the UN agencies are really trying their best to achieve that. Then what comes next? It's very difficult to predict at this stage, but there has to be not only a cessation of hostilities, but as you know, the long-standing position of the United Nations has been to support the two-state solution for Israel and Palestine.
And What about now? What do you see to the future? Which is it will be happen?
Well, as I say, at this stage, nobody can really predict what would, let's say, the day after the cessation of hostility in Gaza look like. It's very difficult to predict. In terms of the United Nations, what I can tell you is that our role is to be prepared, and our role is to do our best to support populations that are affected by conflict. And of course, that applies to Gaza as well. So, we're about supporting peace efforts, and we're about supporting the people. This is really our mindset.
So, what is Indonesia could do to make it happen?
Well, I think it's, of course, for all government to decide what is best. But I think that a collective effort to support the cessation of hostility, a collective effort to support efforts to a durable political solution, again, based on the two-state solution. This is the UN's position. I believe this is a position that is shared by many member states, and this is, how we're looking at the future. Now, we hope that there will be progress, because the situation is really dire. The risk of escalation at the regional level is very important. So that's why the importance of doing, the best to achieve the cessation of hostility is absolutely critical.
Okay. Mr. Lokra, we have heard that there have been a number of cases of death of United Nations peacekeepers who died on duty. Usually they died in conflict areas. How does DPO minimize these cases?
Yes, unfortunately, peacekeeping is a dangerous activity, let's face it. Although we try to do our best to ensure the safety and security of our peacekeepers, and there are lots of efforts that are going on to improve the condition in which they work, to improve the health environment, to improve their ability to avoid the threats, such as mine attacks against peacekeepers, misinformation, disinformation. So safety and security of a peacekeeper is absolutely critical. It's one of our top priority. And again, like in many other areas, we're working with the member states, and particularly with the troop and police contributing countries, because it's a collective effort. You have to work for the best possible training. I visited today a training center for Indonesian police peacekeepers, Indonesian military peacekeepers, and the work that they're doing also in terms of training for safety and security is absolutely critical. And then, it's a partnership. We try to identify priorities, such as, for example, how to best respond to the new threats coming from digital technology, and then how can that be translated into better training, better adaptation, better capacities, and all this.
Okay, there's something you wanted to say to Indonesian people.
Absolutely. I think my main message would be that as we at UN are very proud of the work, the excellent work of the Indonesian peacekeepers, I think Indonesia can also be proud, and the Indonesian people have many reasons to be very proud of the Indonesian peacekeepers and the outstanding work that they are doing to protect people and to support peace.
Okay, Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix, thank you for your time. It's nice having you here. May all the plans of the United Nations be implemented, and especially to create the world peace.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best.
Demikianlah perbincangan saya dengan Under Secretary General for Peace Operation United Nations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix. Sampai jumpa, salam SCTV.